Mira, mira, mira acá con la gente. Mira la narrito.
Heading back to prehistoric times, the wolf dog is an incredible, terrifying hybrid. It's the result of crossbreeding between domestic dogs and, you guessed it, wolves. This unique mix has existed since prehistoric times, with early humans domesticating wolves thousands of years ago. Now, the wolf dog still maintains a stronger connection to its wild origins than most domesticated dogs. Historically, these hybrids were prized for their hunting skills, sharp senses, and loyalty in battle or in guarding. Sounds like the ideal pet, my gosh. Even today, some people are fascinated by wolf dogs and attempt to keep them as pets, although their care requires specific expertise due to their unpredictable nature. Yeah, a dog with unpredictable nature. What can go wrong, folks? Number 9, the Cheeto cat. Not to be confused with him, although he's pretty cool. In 2001, Carol Dryman introduced the world to the Cheeto cat, an exotic hybrid created by crossing a Bengal cat with an Assa cat. The goal was to capture the wild beauty of a cheetah in a domestic pet. Because wouldn't that be ideal? Wouldn't that be cool to have that? And surprisingly, it worked. The Cheeto cat is muscular, playful, and highly energetic, with a distinctive spotted coat resembling its wild counterpart. These cats are known for their intelligence and social nature, often bonding strongly with their human owners. Now, despite their popularity, their creation of designer pets like the Cheeto raises important questions about the ethical implications of animal breeding purely for aesthetics. Yeah, you can't just make animals because you want to be cool, right? Maudie the elephant. Maudie, born in 1978 at the Chester Zoo, was a rare crossbreed between an African and an Asian elephant, two species that generally don't interbreed in the wild due to their different habitats and behaviors. This is already feeling like Jurassic Park. His birth was a landmark moment for animal science, offering researchers this unique glimpse into the possibilities and also the challenges of hybrid creations. Now, unfortunately, Maudie only lived for a few days, but his existence sparked interest in the genetics of these two majestic species. Right now, we're trying to bring mammoths back to life, so this could be the key right here. Understanding hybrid elephants could potentially aid in their conservation, especially as both African and Asian elephants are right now facing threats from habitat loss and poaching. Could be the key to their survival. Or we could make Jurassic Park. One of the two. Number 7, the parrot cichlid. The parrot cichlid was a vibrant and somewhat controversial hybrid fish. Yeah, you thought I was gonna say bird, didn't you? Got ya. It was first bred in Taiwan during the 1980s, and it's known for its striking orange color and unusual mouth shape, which gives it a distinctive beak-like appearance. Hence the name. While visually stunning, this hybrid fish has been criticized for the health problems that its genetic manipulation can cause. Its beak-like mouth makes it difficult for the fish to eat properly, raising, of course, ethical concerns about creating animals, again, just for aesthetics, at the expense of their well-being. Should we continue to create hybrid animals if their well-being is compromised, just because we want to see, I don't know, a cool beaked fish? Or are these hybrids just another form of artistic expression through genetics? Both are terrible. Number 6, the Iron Age pig. A pig with medieval armor. What is this guy going on about? The Iron Age pig is a hybrid between wild boars and domestic pigs. It was created in Europe during the 20th century as part of experimental archaeology. Now, the goal was to create the pigs that ancient humans would have interacted with, allowing researchers to better understand prehistoric farming and animal domestication. Yeah, bring back the medieval pigs. Let's do it. They're gonna take over. These hybrids, they're hardy, they're adaptable, and they can thrive in rough environments, much like their ancient counterparts. Yeah, they made it through the Dark Ages, so I think they're good now. In addition to academic research, the iron pigs are still bred today for historical reenactments and occasionally for special agricultural purposes. The Leopard is a crossbreed between a leopard and a jaguar. Nailed it, that's exactly what you thought, and it was first bred in captivity during the 1950s. These rare hybrids combine the sleek agility of leopards with the muscular strength of jaguars, resulting in a strikingly powerful and unique big cat. Very big cat. The Leopard's patterns, behavior, and builds have intrigued science for decades, though these hybrids are not commonly found today due to ethical concerns about breeding large predators in captivity. Yeah, we're trying to get rid of zoos. Meanwhile, some guys are like, let's make more animals. While they remain an oddity in the world of hybridization, some researchers believe that studying these hybrids, like the Leopard, could provide new insights into big cat conservation and genetics. Because apparently, I'm allergic to cats personally. I'm a dog guy. What are you? Comment down below. Dogs? In 2006, a hunter in the Canadian Arctic made an incredible discovery. Also really scary. What a pants if I found this one. A grizzly polar bear hybrid. Oh boy, also known as the Pisle or the Growler bear, whatever sounds more fun to you. These hybrids have become more common in recent years as climate change drives grizzly and polar bear habitats closer and closer together. Exhibiting characteristics of both parents, the Pisle has the size and white fur of a polar bear, but the more aggressive nature and omnivore diet of a grizzly. So this thing's gonna take over the world. We're making the strongest bear possible. Scientists are eager to study these hybrids as they may offer important clues as to how animals will adapt to this rapidly changing climate that we live in. But could these hybrids represent nature's response to a warming world, or are they simply a rare anomaly brought on by environmental stress? The Jago is a crossbreed between a jaguar and a smaller wild cat like a leopard, and it was first bred in captivity during the 80s as part of this genetic experiment. Because back then, what else are you gonna do? These hybrids are known for their strikingly beautiful coats and robust physical strength, these traits that come from their powerful big cat parentage. That's what we want, that's what we love, and what we admire. They offer scientists a unique opportunity to study the genetics of behavior of big cats, but this time in controlled environments, until it breaks out and eats all of us. However, ethical concerns about breeding large predators for experimental purposes have limited the extent of these studies. I'm on the fence for this one. I want to see a cool cat, but I don't like the fact that it's just stuck in a box its whole life. You know what I mean? I'm here for science, but I'm also here for the furry friend. I don't like it. Interesting, but I don't like it. Number 2, the Thule hybrid. In the 1990s, African cattle breeders began experimenting with crossbreeding indigenous Thule cattle with other breeds to create these hybrids that were more resilient to disease and able to thrive in harsh environments. Again, we're just making animals to better suit our needs. Love a human being. These Thule hybrids are prized for their ability to withstand arid climates and produce high quality beef, making them an important asset to farmers in southern Africa. It would solve a lot of problems, I'll admit that. Now, as the global climate continues to change, hybrids like the Thule could become even more valuable in regions where farming conditions are tough and could get even worse. Could these hybrid cattle offer a solution to the growing problem of the food insecurity in a world facing climate change? Or will they remain just another agricultural experiment just stuck in a box somewhere and now on a list? Hopefully the first one. And finally, number 1, the Zebron. The Zebron is a hybrid between European bison, also known as a Wisent, and domestic cattle. It was first bred in Poland in the 1970s as part of an effort to create a hardier, more disease-resistant breed. Now, Zebrons are larger, they're stronger, they're more badass, and more resilient than either of their parent species, making them ideal, of course, for labor-intensive tasks in these harsh climates. Although the Zebron never achieved widespread popularity, it remains a fascinating example of using hybridization to tackle agricultural challenges. Again, that's the goal, that's the main goal for most of these on this list. Could this massive hybrid have paved the way for future innovations in sustainable farming practices, or is it simply a forgotten chapter in the history of animal breeding that we've talked about here on Bumblebee today? Number 10, feel the music. There are many odd experiments in history where humans, should have left human elements out of it, like music and illicit substances. I can't say what I want to say, but it's a bad substance that's white. There you go, paint the image in your head. There you go, we'll move around YouTube's algorithm. Back in 2011, a study was done where rats, or rather a bunch of rats, were all put in a room and on loop, they played a Miles Davis song just over and over again. So they were all on said substances and they were in a room while Miles Davis played. This is a science experiment, may I add. Just smooth jazz for these rats all day long. Imagine walking into that room, you're like, huh, what's going on in here? It's kind of fun, dare I say. Well, before the substances were injected into these test subjects, they all seemed to have calm demeanors while Beethoven was playing. But after injected, all the rats were neurologically triggered to that smooth jazz. They acted differently in a group setting, which is kind of weird. After a full week on the, not so great sauce, the rats were all of a sudden like, you know what? We love Miles Davis now. We changed our minds. So yeah, illicit substances changes how you listen to music apparently. If you're a rat, any rats watching, hit that thumbs up with your little rat hands. Number 9, the first pregnancy test. If you're looking past the ancient Egyptians and their use of barley and urine to determine if somebody's pregnant, you'll often land on this experiment from the 1930s. It's pretty close. It's heavily inspired. It was developed in 1931 by Maurice Friedman at the University of Pennsylvania Medical School. Now what would happen here is doctors would inject a rabbit with urine from a woman who was suspected of being pregnant, and the rabbit's ovaries could easily tell if that was the case. Accurate? Yes. Historical? Change the game? Why, of course. Would it also end up with the rabbit passing away every single time? Yes. It's sad more often than not when humans are involved in any medical process, but we're trying to, not do that anymore. We're doing pretty good. All those furs were like, nah, get out of here. Number 8, Kunga. Perhaps the earliest example of human-animal hybrid testing. Here we go. Scientists recently learned about this donkey hybrid that once roamed ancient Mesopotamia. This was a long time ago. This was before horses had even arrived to land, so they had to do something, right? They needed help pulling stuff. So large Kungas would step in and they would pull wagons, and smaller Kungas would help pulling plows. These little guys were the talk of the town. Imagine a hybrid animal before horses. No wonder they were a status symbol, come on. 4,000 years ago, they were given as gifts for weddings. Yummy, can you imagine that? I think it's a Kunga. It smells like a Kunga. I think it's definitely a Kunga. After so long, scientists are finally able to figure out what exactly a Kunga was a hybrid of. This whole time, it was a female donkey and a male Syrian wild ass. Put them together, what a wild time. It's wild what you still learn about ancient animal bones from thousands and thousands of years ago. More amazing how involved this hybrid was in Mesopotamian culture. I don't know, should we bring back the Kunga? Kind of neat. Kunga Uber? I would take those, hop in a little cart. Number 7, human cow eggs. Okay, we had a few giggles with that one. Time to get into some real dark science stuff. Back in 2008, hybrid research was being done. Human animal hybrid research obviously was being done because of course. The whole idea was to find a cure for Parkinson's disease. Now, I like these projects because we're moving forward at least, or we're trying to. We're trying to find a solution in some way, shape, or form, right? Road's gonna get a little dirty, but we'll figure it out. Otherwise, we don't need to be poking around cows, you know what I mean? Nobody needs 3 bowls of cereal before gym class anymore. Those days are over. There's other ways to wake up. I would do the beep test, I almost throw up every single day. Yeah, I would just have a full bowl of cereal and then just go to class and play baseball all morning. It's like, geez. Scientists used the nucleus of a cow egg. They took it out and replaced that nucleus with that of human and skin cells. Add in a little time and the egg can now develop and turn into a blastocyst, aka a cloned embryo. And there we have stem cells for says science. Again, this is a lovely step, but how far do we go? How much DNA are we gonna mix before, things can go south? For example, Number 6, monkey head transplant. Okay, here we go. The first ever successful monkey head transplant. Crazy that I'm saying that out loud. This was back in the early 1970s. I imagine some of your parents may have heard of this. I don't know, I bet it would be hard to forget. Ask them. Ask them in the middle of dinner when they're mid-bite. Ask them about the monkey head transplant from the 70s. Just ruined dinner. American researcher Robert White, he pulled off the, otherwise impossible and a slow, tedious operation. See, White took the head of one monkey and then attached it to a already headless monkey. Add a little time and energy and some science and voila, this actually worked. Yeah, the monkey actually tried to bite one of the surgeons once it came to life, which, totally fair. I'd probably be a little upset too. Sadly, the monkey passed away 9 days later, but like I said, the fact this actually happened, I mean, 1, is terrifying, and 2, dare I say, it's miraculous. Some sci-fi stuff right here. We're moving heads, we're transferring heads for 9 business days. Gross. Number 5. Monkey become human. This next one's a little less hands-on, so, if you have food, now you can probably take a bite. It's probably safe for now. Back in 1931, psychologist Winthrop Kellogg, familiar name, he was curious. He sat up one night out of the blue and thought, you know what would happen if a monkey was raised with human beings? Would it end up like that, monkey from MVP? Would it learn to play hockey for the local team? Or would operations go south quickly? The latter happened. Yeah, no hockeys are doing any crosses and deeks. It's all bad. When it comes to animals and science, it's pretty bad. It's nothing like the cinema. None of that shit happened at all. Kellogg instead brought a baby female chimp named Gua into his home. Yeah, this man raised the chimp as if it were another human being alongside his own human being son, Donald, which is just a wild time growing up. I'd rather you have an imaginary friend than a monkey as a friend. That's pretty dangerous. But they did everything together. They played, they went to bed, they did all their human stuff. The test was working, but it ended abruptly after Kellogg's son, Donald, started to make chimp noises. Yeah, and then everybody was like, you know what? Let's not do that. That was terrifying. Maybe chimps can't learn how to kickflip. Maybe instead humans just go backwards in evolution. So Gua was then released and no more human best friend. You know, back to, dare I say, normal. I always wanted a monkey best friend growing up. Now I don't. Now I really don't. Number 4, multi-dog. The multi-dog. Yeah, this is gross. This was back in the 50s when a Soviet scientist, Vladimir Demikov, created, well, a multi-headed dog. It's pretty easy. Time magazine covered it. Of course, this is again a feat in science, as disgusting as it is. The adult dog had a newborn grafted to its neck, so when it grew, it could somehow survive off the blood of the main, bigger dog. The body, for a lack of a better term. Gross. When observed, the puppy did have its own characteristics. It was playful as it growls, just as the other dog's characteristics would be. Now, it is a sad 1950s Soviet animal experiment, so of course that animal didn't survive a very long time. But crossbreeding experiments from hell, this is why we're here, you know what I mean? It's like that 3-headed dog from Harry Potter, you know what I mean? Cerberus, I think his name is Cerberus. This, a little more terrifying, a little more jarring, I'd say, to look at. After you play Harry Potter chess, this thing pops out, you're like, ooh. Never mind, 0 points for Gryffindor. Number 3, lions. Back in the 1980s at the Chatbir Zoo in India, they started this experimental program where they would breed together a domestic lion, which is a bit smaller and has a less shaggy mane. They would breed that with an African lion in hopes that they would meet in the middle and be introduced to the wild and somehow help with the dwindling population of wild lions in India. Now on paper, this sounds like a great idea. Dare I say a step forward for the animals and the wild, but it wasn't. Nope, that's why we're here on this list. The zoo found 2 African lions that were being used in a circus, and then they brought them in to breed with their 2 Asiatic lions. Now, when the cubs were born, it was clear this was already a mistake, as the cubs had severely weak back legs right off the hop. It wasn't looking good. They were having extreme trouble walking, and as they got older, their immune system started to fail. Now by 2000, they had bred more than 70 of these new hybrid lions, and it was too late, right? They'd finally decided to stop the program, and all the males were then given vasectomies in order to stop any further reproduction. But there were laws that prohibited them from killing any animals, so they were simply just waiting for them to die of natural causes, which, I mean, in this case doesn't really exist. But there's a dwindling population of lions. It's insane to me that they wasted 20 years doing this when they could have just, simply bred the lions that they had with other lions. Probably harder than it sounds, but I mean, I don't know. What the fuck is this? New lions with like Bambi legs? That's way worse. Number 2, spider art. Nice. This is like Art Attack, but terrifying because I hate spiders. Before our number 1 spot, I have to mention NASA's 1995 spider test. They're a little cool, dare I say. When nature meets science, we often get jarring results, be it hybrid animals, clones, monkeys going on and off, you name it. Spiders, as fascinating as they already are, can be even more mysterious, especially when they're exposed to, how do I say this, mind-altering illicit substances. You got it? NASA wanted to determine the toxicity between all of these substances and what differences they may look like in real life. Now, spiders are fascinating. We can see how they think and survive every day. We see it up close. We walk through them and we go right in your face. But we never see them like this before. Caffeinated behavior is all over the place when it comes to their web. It doesn't look like a normal web at all. But with hallucinogens, it's the same shape of a web, but it's almost missing steps. I don't think any animal should also have coffee, let alone hallucinogens. My God, no way. Also, I can't even have coffee. I'm crazy when I have coffee, let alone any of this shit. And finally, number 1, the mouse with an ear on its back. Yeah, the title says it all. I could say that and we could be done here, but I think I have to explain a bit more. If we ever reboot Stuart Little, this guy has to audition. Let's do it. A live action? Are you kidding me? He'd f it up. Back in 1997, this Vacanti mouse became the test subject to determine if scientists could grow cartilage using chondrocytes, aka cells from a cow. Well, it worked, and we're still talking about it. I'm still talking about it, obviously. I mean, look at this. Now, it all started when Joseph Vacanti, pediatric surgeon, he began designing human organs. Now, this was during a shortage. He wasn't just born and, started to make ears like a serial killer. No, he was changing the medical game. And little did he know, he was about to change the science game as well. He constructed a regular looking ear, and he told his brother Chuck and his partner Bob to not bring up the fact that he attached said ear to a live mouse. Now, that's a pretty hard secret to keep, I imagine, so Chuck ended up spilling the beans. Now everybody knows, but at the same time, now we all know that cow cartilage can create cells, which is pretty good. That's pretty good science. Can grow ears. I want to Q-tip his ear back thing, you know what I mean? Number 10, the walking worm. Okay, this was my nickname back in high school. Nice, good to be back. This one sounds nice. Earthworm Jim, Gumby, I got them all. Just a walking, lanky worm dude. Meet the Hallucigenia fortis, named by Simon Conway Morris back in 1979. Conway Morris named it Hallucigenia fortis because of its bizarre and dreamlike quality. Sure, art's subjective, I guess, to each their own. There were over 109 specimens of these strange aquatic creatures, and they ranged in size from half a centimeter to 3 centimeters long. Now, number 10 on our list, okay, gotta start small, not too large, and since it was an invertebrate, it lacked a spine. Just like me, no spine, you know, just all worm. Just all air, like an inflatable person. Defining features of the walking worm, as its name suggests, were these tentacles that protruded out from the body. It had spikes that it maybe and possibly probably walked on. How terrifying is that? And in 2015, scientists realized where its head was. Yeah, its real head. We thought a fossilized stain was its head for like 35 years, and then in 2015, we found its real head, and it looks like it's grinning almost, with 2 eyes. Dare I say worse than the stain? Let's stop looking.
Number 9, the big fin squid. From the Magnapinidae family, the big fin squid, or as I like to call it, this ocean alien with shoulders and elbows, belongs to a group of rarely seen cephalopods with a distinctive morphology, meaning that they're really weird looking and really rare. The first record of us catching and looking at this thing comes from 1907 in the Azores, but due to the damaged nature of the find, little information could be actually extracted. It just looked like a piece of wet crinoline pulled out of a lake. During the 80s, 5 specimens were found in the Atlantic and Pacific, so eventually the creature found a place amongst the books as its own species, entering the Magnapinidae, or squids. So it's not actually a squid, but like a third cousin. This thing looks like it crashed here on an asteroid, doesn't it? The arms are huge and held perpendicular to the body, creating the illusion of arms and elbows, giving it its trademark alien figure. Some of these things are longer than 10 meters too. That's like a school bus. These things are definitely living under the ice on Jupiter. I'm just gonna say it. I said it.
Number 8, giant dragonfly. Dragonflies are awesome. I have a dragonfly tattoo. I had to check which arm. That's awesome. Welcome to being 28, I guess. But these sticky lads are old school, okay? Dragonflies are sweet. They were the first winged insects to ever evolve 300 million years ago. Modern dragonflies have wingspans of only 2 to 5 inches, but ancient giant dragonflies, again, as their name suggests, well, their wingspan was 2 to 3 feet. They're a lot bigger and scarier and stickier. I hope they never come back to this size. Again, like I mentioned in part 1, it's that high oxygen level that does the body good. Yeah, the Paleozoic era had these beasts hovering around because, you know, the air was too good back then. Nearly all of their head is its eye, so you're f***ed in every angle, basically. The movie Dune, if you've seen this recently, great film. The ornithopters, they're engineered to fly like a dragonfly. This is based on real life science. Engineers in real life are studying dragonflies, their flight patterns right now with their wings. Just keep them small and we're good. Study away, keep them small, please.
Number 7, the frilled shark. Chlamydos lacus ingenius, aka the frilled shark, is the extinct species of shark that once swam our oceans. Thank gosh. Well, actually kinda still does. Oh. The frilled shark is considered a living fossil, not just its age and time spent surfing the coast, due to its primitive eel-like brown body. Its snake-like jaws, 8-foot body, and the way it moves under the water are all common in ancient serpents and water creatures. Yeah, this thing's a water dragon, basically. This thing's like an eel-serpent-shark hybrid. It swims the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, usually in deep, murky water. So am I just gonna like snorkel into one of these things any day now? Good thing is that these things are really hard to find. Like, really hard. Usually caught by accident in commercial fishing nets, usually at depths anywhere between 50 and 1,000 meters. So unless you're free diving at night and have a supersonic lung span, you should be okay.
Number 6, the gastric brooding frog. I'm a big fan of frogs, except for when they, you know, hatch out of their back. I don't like that. It's arguably the worst thing I've ever seen online, and I have read it, and have had Reddit for years. These frogs would swallow its egg back in the day, and then they would hatch them out of their mouth. If you watched it backwards, you'd be like, no, stop. They all went extinct back in 1983, but scientists have somehow figured out how to implant dead cells into a fresh egg from an entirely different frog species. So we may just see this fancy frog make a fancy comeback. Yeah, let's just hope these ones aren't born out of their backs. Do you want to see it? I feel like you want to see it. There it is. Enjoy. You asked for it. thumbs up for this. You know, it's life, it's nature.
Number 5, the giant sloth. Megatherium is an extinct species of ground sloth. Locals to South America, they lived between the Pliocene through the Pleistocene eras. Basically like a really long time. Yeah, this thing was big and heavy as a modern day elephant, but like sloth form. This massive beast was first discovered in 1788 on the banks of Argentina. The bones, of course, not one. Megatherium became extinct around 12,000 years ago, thank gosh, during the Quaternary extinction event, which also claimed most other large mammals in the New World. The extinction coincides with early America's settlement and the kill sites where sloths were slaughtered. I tried. Suggesting that humans were out fist-fighting these things, aiding in such extinction. Yeah, all of a sudden mammoths are like way less scary. I wonder if they moved as slow too, like a bear the size of an elephant moving in slow motion. So I just like throw it, it's like right here. Just feel like there.
Number 4, Tasmanian tiger. Once native to Australia, of course the land of horrors, the Tasmanian tiger, also known as the thylacine, was a massive carnivorous marsupial that went extinct around the 1930s. Thank the Lord. Major factors here are, as you guessed, climate change, hunting, and its genetic diversity wasn't all too great. Now it's sad on one hand because these beautiful creatures, also kind of terrifying, they disappeared so recently, but it's recent enough that we have a shot at bringing them back. Yeah, I'm just scaring you with this one. I'm like, it's terrifying, right? They're coming back, 2024 in IMAX. Yeah, imagine looking outside and seeing this thing on your own front yard. Are we ready for this? I'm not. I've seen a moose once. Very scary, very scary. I was going 40 miles an hour. I was like, that's it. Specimens still remain preserved in jars. Yeah, thank God for those jars. I was wondering what that was in the fridge. A Tasmanian tibia. Nice, yum. In the science world, we already have some of the Tasmanian tiger genes present after scientists inserted them into a mouse fetus. Again, bold, but sure, they did it. One guy thought of that. How gross is that? The Australian Museum has been working hard to bring this beast back to life, only they're still lacking the DNA to fully recreate it. So if you have any jars of Tasmanian tiger parts, lend a helping hand for science, please.
Number 3, Duncosaurus, from Dunkel's bones, named after paleontologist David Dunkel, who discovered and studied the fossils. Ostis is Greek for bone, referring to the giant tectonic plates looking things that this thing is made up of. Being one of the largest and most powerful fish ever to swim in our waters, ever, these swimming tanks could eat pretty well anything it wanted, including other Dunkelossuses. This thing was top dog. The first remains were discovered along Lake Erie cliffs. That's scary, that's like right over there. Dunkelossus could suck in and bite straight through any animal alive at the time, from the thick-shelled ammonites to the other placoderms with body armor. This thing was basically like the great-great-grandfather of any fish who eats other fish. They would even bite each other and dent their own armor. Their diet shifted from soft-bodied prey such as whales and sharks to larger armored prey such as placoderms. Basically it liked to eat the little crunchy stuff instead of the soft-bodied megalodons. What a sentence.
Number 2, the moa. This New Zealand bird went extinct about 600 years ago. See, moa, they were these flightless birds, massive, might I add, and archaeologists first discovered its fossil in a cave, just hidden in the very back, right in the depths. Its flesh and everything was still attached. See, these ancient birds would reach about 5 feet tall, and when you think of dinosaurs, you probably think that's quite petite in comparison, but no, listen up. The birds stopped flying right after the dinosaurs went extinct. According to biologist Matthew Phillips from the Australian National University of Canberra, once the dinosaurs off, they now had freedom. They could go outside without having to make any daring escapes, right? They weren't terrified every day to be lunch. They walked around, they got fat, and they hung out in caves. So it might seem a little depressing to watch a creature lose the ability to fly, but it's because they're eating good, you know? They're good problems, right? Scientists have recently discovered moa DNA from ancient eggshells, so there's a possibility we might see these fatties hit the skies once again. Let's keep them on Weight Watchers this time around, you know? Let's keep them in the sky, keep them.
Number 1, Europterid. Long story short, an ancient huge sea scorpion. That's it. I'm done. No, I said no spiders, earwigs, and scorpions. No, that's it. An extinct group of arthropods that formed 470 million years ago, with 250 species of its own, the Euripidid is the most diverse Paleozoic class of its time. This is like the first of the creepy crawly stinger pincher things, you know? They declined in numbers and diversity until becoming extinct during the Triassic extinction event about 250 million years ago. Yeah, thank God. I can't even put a crayfish on a hook without squirming. Called sea scorpions, of course, because of two qualities. Being able to go in and out of water and having two sets of lungs. Yeah, this thing's a fossil, right? This thing just got way more terrifying. They are the largest known arthropods ever to have lived on Earth, ranging anywhere between a foot and 4 feet big. That's a longboard, Taylor. A skateboard with claws and pinchers and a tail, in and out of the water. Alright, the animal kingdom. How beautiful.
Number 10, the Pisle Bear. The Pisle Bear, also known as the growler bear, how fun is that? This is a fascinating product of climate change. Yeah, not so great, but we're making new animals, so here's the positive side. As the Arctic ice melts and the habitats of polar bears and grizzly bears overlap, these two species have now begun to mate, creating, of course, a hybrid bear. Pisle bears have the grizzly size and strength, but also now they have the polar bear's ability to survive in colder environments, so we're doomed. Bears are gonna take over the world. That's awesome. Scientists are watching this hybrid closely, as it may be a sign of how animals are adapting to our changing world. This is very interesting. Pisles could potentially survive in climates where neither parent species could alone. Could this hybrid be nature's solution to a warming planet, or is it a sign of deeper ecological crisis? I vote the first one, for sure. Number 9, the beefalo. These fun names, they have a lot of fun names for these guys. The beefalo. In the 1960s, ranchers in the United States began crossbreeding bison with domestic cattle. They did this to create the beefalo, a hybrid that aimed to combine the best traits of both animals. What could go wrong? The goal was to develop livestock that had the resilience of a bison, able to withstand harsh climates and rugged environments, along with, of course, a higher meat yield of cattle. That would be amazing. The beefalo was seen as a potential solution for the meat industry, providing more efficient livestock. However, there were some complications. There's always complications. Beefalos were more difficult to manage. They would often escape enclosures, just run off into the night, even mixing with other wild bison populations, which now caused an environmental concern. So while the beefalo is still bred today, it never quite replaced traditional cattle farming just yet. And I say yet because I have to ask, do you think hybrids like the beefalo could be part of the future of sustainable farming, or do they present too many challenges? I mean, he's got to stop escaping his pen. That's probably a problem. Let's talk to him about that. Number 8, Zorse. The Zorse. Sounds so medieval and majestic. The Zorse is what happens when you cross, you guessed it, a zebra and a horse. And it's as wild as it sounds. Breeding between these two species began in the 1800s, particularly in Africa and Europe, where people were fascinated by the idea of combining the zebra's iconic stripes with the trainability of a horse. They're like, yeah, the horse is good, but what if it had stripes? Zorses inherit the zebra's toughness as well and resilience to diseases, making them hardy animals, if anything. But they also come with a bit of the zebra's wild side as well. Can't have a zebra without getting a little wild, okay? Let me tell you about these guys. Zorses are typically used for riding and work, though they can be more difficult to train than regular horses. Now what's fascinating is that, like mules, Zorses are usually sterile, meaning that every generation has to be bred from scratch. Yeah, made in a laboratory. Could a Zorse ever become a mainstream alternative to horses? I sure hope not. We don't need stripes. Just keep the horses doing horse stuff. We don't need to customize their colors, alright? Let them be. Number 7, the Liger. If you've seen Napoleon Dynamite in the last, 27 years, this one will ring a bell. Ligers are the incredible result of crossbreeding a male lion and a female tiger, and they've been bred in captivity since the early 19th century. Now these massive felines can grow up to twice the size of their parents, super scary, often weighing over 900 pounds. Ligers inherit the lion's social behavior and the tiger's love for water, creating a truly unique, terrifying creature. They are bred primarily in zoos and private collections, all that shady stuff, as lions and tigers don't naturally live in the same habitats, right? It doesn't happen anywhere else but in these labs. Now, despite their impressive size, ligers have some health challenges due to their hybrid nature. Yeah, you can't just introduce a new lung and then be like, oh, I feel good. No, something's gonna happen. The ethics of breeding ligers are hotly debated, as some question the practice of creating hybrids solely for human curiosity, and that's a bit icky, which I agree. At least the other animals on this list, they wanna fix climate change or do something, adapt. This one, they're like, yeah, let's just see what happens. Roll the dice. Not a fan. Number 6, the Dizo. Oh, that's weird. It says yak and cattle. That's probably like a yaddle or like a cack. That's probably why. The Dizo. High up in the Himalayas, ancient Tibetan and Mongolian farmers created the Dizo by crossbreeding yaks and domestic cattle. I guess cack didn't really roll off the tongue, so that's fair. Dizos are stronger and more productive than either of their parents, which makes them perfect for work in these harsh mountain environments. Now these animals are used for everything from plowing fields to carrying goods over steep terrain. They can manage it all, and their milk and meat are highly prized as well. They're kind of nailing it. Now what makes the Dizo even more remarkable is its ability to thrive in high altitudes where other animals might struggle. However, like many hybrids, Dizos are often sterile, like I mentioned earlier, which means farmers have to continuously breed new ones. They can't just sustain themselves. Would you ever see a Dizo? I mean, it sounds like the least of our concerns so far on this list. Better than a striped zebra horse tiger thing. I don't even know what's going on over there. This one seems fun. Number 5, Lepin, a leopard plus the lion. This is what you get. In the early 1900s, Japanese zookeepers managed to crossbreed a male leopard and a lioness, resulting in the exotic Lepin, one of those. These hybrids are larger than leopards but smaller than lions and have the body shape of a lion with beautiful spots of a leopard. Yeah, paint that picture. Lepins are agile climbers like leopards, but they also have some of the social characteristics of lions. Now, because lions and leopards don't live in the same areas naturally, Lepins only exist sadly in captivity. This list is interesting, right? It's very science heavy, but when you hear about these animals that are just stuck in captivity, that part sucks a lot. They've been bred for study and as attractions in zoos. That's it, right? They're not free to go. Though visually stunning, these hybrids do raise questions about whether crossbreeding for the sake of novelty is even ethical in the first place. Would you want to see more Lepins in zoos, or would you want to see less zoos in general? Comment down below. I want to see how you feel about hybrids and zoos and just the whole thing in general. Personally, I don't think we should fuck with any animal, but here we are. Let's continue on with the mule, one of the most well-known and successful animal hybrids of all time. Mules, which are the offspring of a male donkey and a female horse, have been bred for thousands of years. Evidence of mule breeding dates back to ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt, where they were valued for their strength, endurance, and their ability to work long hours. These guys are OG, they go way back. Mules combine the horse's size and speed with the donkey's durability, making them ideal for farming, heavy labor, and transportation, right? They nailed it right across the board. Now, despite their usefulness, mules are sterile, which means new ones have to be bred every time, which is exhausting, I bet. Interestingly, mules were also prized for their intelligence and calm demeanor. Yeah, why do you think mules became so essential to ancient civilizations? Could they have played a bigger role in shaping these early economies? Did a mule build the pyramid? Did we just figure it out? Number 3, Savannah Cat. In the 1980s, breeders in the US took on the challenge of crossing a wild African cat with a domestic cat, right? Getting all catty up in here. The result was the Savannah Cat, a beautiful, large, and sleek hybrid with the exotic appearance of a wild animal, but the temperament of a pet. Coolest pet ever, or an accident waiting to happen? These cats are known for their loyalty and often behave more like dogs, if anything, following their owners around and playing fetch, all that fun stuff. However, they can also be unpredictable, thanks to their other half, their wild heritage. Now, Savannah cats require more care and space than the average house cat, of course, and their ownership is restricted in some places. Would you ever consider owning a part wild animal, or does the idea of having a pet with wild instincts sound like too much to handle? I've seen enough Tiger King to know your answer. Let's move on. Number 2, the Wallin. A whale plus a dolphin. What do you get? A fun word, a Wallin. Sounds like a burger, like a Whopper, like a Wallin. What is that? In 1985, a rare and surprising hybrid was born at Sea Life Park in Hawaii. Yeah, imagine going there and you're like, oh, we have a new animal today. How fun is that? Enjoy. This animal is a cross between a bottlenose dolphin and a false killer whale, which is a large species of dolphin. Now, Wallfins are extremely rare, but they are known for their intelligence and speed, combining both traits from their parent species. Now, what's fascinating is that Wallfins inherit a mixture of both whale and dolphin characteristics, but they're capable of incredible performances in aquatic shows, which is sad to hear, but they are smart. However, breeding these hybrids in captivity does raise questions about the ethics of creating these hybrids just for the purpose of entertainment. Know what I mean? Like, we're trying to get rid of these SeaWorlds all around the world. We're not trying to make new animals in these parks. We're going backwards now. Could the Wallfin become a symbol of our fascination with crossing species, or is it a step towards a deeper understanding of marine life? Yeah. SeaWorld. Let's move on. Number 1, coy dog. The coyote and dog. The coy dog is very coy, this dog, absolutely. Coy dogs are hybrids between domestic dogs and coyotes, and they've existed for centuries, right? Native American tribes are believed to have encountered and possibly bred coy dogs a long time ago. Now, coy dogs are known for being intelligent and adaptable, but they can also inherit the wild instincts of coyotes, making them more difficult to train than regular dogs. Yeah, imagine training a coyote? No thank you, I'm good, I'm all set. They're still found in some areas where coyotes and domestic dogs cross paths. Of course, that's bound to happen. Coy dogs have sparked debates about the domestication of wild animals and whether they can truly coexist as pets. I'm a firm believer in no, that's a terrible idea. Don't do that. Let the animal go. All right. Could coy dogs represent a step towards future hybridization of pets, or are they a reminder of the challenges in blending wildlife and domestic species? It's just a bad idea. Like, stop breeding animals. Let things happen by themselves. We don't need a striped coy dog Wallin hybrid. We don't need that. This isn't Jurassic Park, all right?